So when you start mounting your drawer label for your portfolio board, you're going to need some tools. Ruler, we call it a pica stick. You'll learn why later. A triangle, kind of handy for squaring things up. Going to need an X-Acto blade and a glue stick. If you put the glue sticks back, we'd really appreciate it. Alright, let's go this way. We're going to work at a light table because it's kind of a convenient place to cut and paste and all that. You got room to get here?
I think I should be able to, yeah.
Alright, let's keep walking and rolling. Going back here. You're going to need some of this black mount board, and it can only be found right there. And it's going to be larger than you need. So we're going to take it back and we're going to cut it on the cutter. So let's head back that way. This is a handy piece of equipment right here, ladies and gentlemen. First thing we'll have to make sure is the power's on in the front of the room, and I'm pretty sure that's happened. Then we're going to turn the power on to the cutter. Once the cutter's up and running, see the clear button? See it? Okay, hit clear. That zeroes the computer processor, and it sets the cutting blade at 5 inches. Our board is 22 by 28, and we don't need a whole board to mount our project on. So we're going to cut that down into quarters so we get what's called 4 out. And actually only 1 in 4 of you will have to do this, so if you want to work together, that's great. So it's 28 inches long. Want to cut it in half. What am I going to use? What's the number? Half 28, 14. You want to put 14 in on the keyboard. And hit send. So the back guide will start to move, and it'll put itself at 14 inches. We're going to put the board to the left and all the way to the back. You don't want it in there crooked or it'll cut crooked. So all the way to the left, along the left edge, and all the way to the back. And then we're going to put our hands underneath here, and there's 2 buttons located where these 2 knife symbols are. So if I say clear, and I say clear because I want to make sure nobody's going to get hurt. Clear. The first time I hit both of those buttons, the pump will come to life. It's hydraulic, so the fluid has to flow. If I say clear again, and it'll cut. Kind of slick. To be honest with you, this cutter wasn't designed to cut one piece of paper as much as it was designed to cut stacks of paper. That's even more impressive. Clear. So can you imagine what that cutter would do to my hand? Right on. Whack it right off. Let's try. Wait, it won't. Here, you come and hold these 2 buttons with you. Why? You're a wise woman. But I want you to look at something. See the green light, yellow light? If that light's green, it'll cut. But if it's red, it won't. So even if I asked you to cut me, it would cut me. So I want you to, you always respect equipment, and you don't really mess around with it, but it's not going to hurt you. It could do some serious damage to a ruler or an X-Acto blade. You don't want to accidentally put those in here. This knife blade costs about 250 bucks, so we only really want to cut paper. Anything else, it'll damage it. Alright, so now we're going to cut at 14. No, we didn't cut at 14. 11. Will you put 11 in? And hit send. Cool. Switch with me. Put the paper all the way to the left and all the way to the back. What do you say?
Clear.
Thank you. Click and hold. Wait till it cuts. Keep holding all the way. Ready? Beauty. Cool. Alright. So now we got 4 pieces of mount board. We stack them up neatly, put them up here. And hit C on the keyboard. That turns off that pump, so we don't have to listen to it anymore. So now we got a mount board, and actually now we've got like 6. So you can help yourself, but if you really want to cut one, you can. Okay? But don't cut like everybody cut one, because we'll have too many. So I'm going to go over here. And I'm going to have my railroad board. And I also have my finished product and then my separations. And what I want to do is mount those, where's my example? So that I have my procedures and that I have my finished product on top, and then I want to make it so I can see each one of the files separately. So I really only glued along the top edge. So what I'm going to want to do next is cut these off. So I'm going to make a measurement, and it looks like if I cut it 5 3/4, I can cut off this excess white paper at the bottom. Do you want to put 5.75 on the cutter? Hit send. Right. Put those in there, to the left and to the back. Nope, rotate it all the way around so it's right where you, there you go, just like that. Just put it in that way. Go ahead and make that cut. Yeah, pull those, push those up, stay clear. Now that did it, turn down the pump, now do it again and hold. Great. And right next to you, Taylor, is recycle. So just put the white paper in the recycle. Pass me back my drawer label. Thanks. So now I also want to cut it again at about 3 inches. Would you be so kind? Put in 3 and hit send. Now you're going to rotate it around again. There you go. Put it in. Cut it. Hit C on the keyboard, would you? Thanks. Now I have a choice. I could cut the ends of these off on the cutter, or I can just cut them off with my straight edge and my X-Acto blade. So I'm just going to use this. I want to just cut off right near the end of the trim marks. So I'm putting a little pressure on the razor. Or excuse me, on the ruler. You don't want to put your finger over the edge of the ruler, because when you're cutting, you cut your finger. And you really don't want to be talking while you're doing that, because you might still cut your finger. So put that on there, give it some pressure. Might take 2 cuts, and you're cut through that. And we'll do that on the other side too. Always want to mount our project near or on optical center if we can. We don't want to center it perfectly, that's boring. So we're going to work in the optical center area to put our project, and then our procedures or our techniques below. So I didn't print out another one of these. I wonder how good our glue is. It's not that great. Peel that up. Trimmed off the excess edges. And then what I do is I like to lay this out and see how it's going to look before I glue it down. So I'm going to try to create equal spaces between the bottom and the procedures and my finished product. And then remember I said we're going to layer these, and I'm using the trim marks to line up the second layers so that we can see we've printed our separations, and then our employer or the college rep or whoever wants to look through those, or a judge at a competition can see that. And then I want the finished product on the top. So I have equal space here, here, and here. So move that around a little bit. Once I get that pretty close to where I want it, we're going to do a little math. I got 2 inches on this side, and I got 2 3/4 on this side. So I want to kind of center that out. 2 3/8. 2 3/8. That's good. And then in order that I'm going to have to take that off to glue it. So I just take the razor blade and make a little mark in the corners so I can find those two spots again. Right behind you, about knee level, is some scrap paper. If you grab me one piece, that white, that'd be perfect. Thanks. I want to have a piece of scrap paper hanging out because I don't want to get my glue stick, thanks so much, on my product or on my board or on the light table, because then I just have to clean it up. So I'm just going to take the glue stick, put a little glue on the corners, and then I'm going to find my two little pinholes, which is really hard when you're old. And secure that down. Then we're going to build this in a layered form, so we don't need all these. We just need this one, and it's going to be in position right there. So we're going to put it back on the paper. Fumble! We're going to do the same thing, except I'm not going to do the bottom corners. I'm just going to put a little glue stick on the top corners of each of my separations. Get my spacing down. Going to make it. Going to do a little math. Got a half there. Got a half there. Good with that. And then I'll take the next one down and just continue that process. Get the drill? Alright. You can kill that, Cherish.